Obviously, nobody wants to admit that they've been there, creating false realities. Women tend to start off from 100 and they go to 0, and men start from 0 and they go to 100. Obsession is not love. I should be the girl that gets any guy that I want, and it just seems like the guy that I do want, that's who I don't get. I have all these. Hey guys, welcome to Self-Care Sundays with Sophia, where we talk about self-love, self-growth, and everything in between. Today's video is a very popular topic that I feel like everyone can relate to, but nobody really wants to admit. And there's actually not even that many videos on it because I don't know. There should be tons of videos. I've definitely experienced this many times. A lot of my friends and family, not to throw anybody under the bus, but everybody can relate to this, especially women. So that is dealing with obsession and understanding what limerence is. I discovered what the word limerence meant probably like a year ago or something, and I'm like, wow, how is this word not more mainstream? So the exact definition of the word limerence is a state of infatuation or obsession with another person that involves an all-consuming passion and intrusive thoughts. So yeah, obviously nobody wants to admit that they've been there, but it's just so relatable. And I think there's been so many times for me personally in my life where you meet somebody, you like them, immediately you start fantasizing and you create this false character in your mind of who they are, and it's not true. And there you are, either getting ghosted, or maybe your energy is a bit too desperate because you're so excited about this fantasy character you've made in your head and it's not real. This is something that we can prevent from happening as long as we see the signs from the start. One thing to really make sure you don't become obsessed or become limerent is being very present and very realistic of what's happening, what's in front of you, and what's appropriate, when to get excited, things like that. Not fantasizing and reliving the scenario in your head a million times over and maybe creating false realities or picturing you guys doing something together that never happened and probably wouldn't happen. Because when you do that, you create characteristics of this person in your head that aren't true. And that can be very dangerous because then you get obsessed and then you get your heart broken, and unfortunately, it's all your fault. So let's stop doing that and learn to take a step back, recognize what's in front of us, and know that they're not this incredible person that you've created in your head. It's just not real. Okay, so when you are already in that period where you met somebody, you created this character in your head, and you're super in love and obsessed, know that it is not true love. It's not even close to love. There's this YouTuber I really like, and she's honestly an expert in this topic. Her name is Heidi Pribe, and she says what limerence to love is what masturbation to sex is. It may feel the same, but it's not the same. The only difference is when you're masturbating, you know it's not sex because obviously the facts are right there. However, it feels the same, and that's what limerence feels like. It feels just like love, but it's not. It's not real. You made it up. And there's a lot of reasons you can become limerent. It obviously stems down to your childhood, really not being present and just creating these false fantasies in your head and not being able to look at what's in front of you. It has to do a lot with the attachment styles. I'm just here to tell you that you got to stop doing this to yourself, okay? When there's somebody new that enters your life, you really have to just be present and enjoy what it is, but be aware that they have to expose themselves more to you. You have to sit there and get to know them and see if they're really a compatible match for you. Something that's very interesting, women and men are so different. Women tend to start off from 100 and they go to 0, and men start from 0 and they go to 100. So that's when you're in the beginning of dating and maybe you're frustrated, they're not moving things faster. It's like, okay, I like you. Why do you have to question if you like me? No, it's because men grow to love over time. It's like a slow thing for them, and men really value freedom and respect, whereas women value safety, security, and just reassurance, right? So that's where that push-pull happens, where we want more and the men are like, oh, I'm smothered, get away from me. That's another fun topic, how femininity and masculine traits bounce off of each other. It's like the yin and the yang. Yin is feminine, yang is masculine. There's a little dot on each of the yin-yang symbol to balance each other out, but generally you have to tap into your feminine and be aware that you're prone to these things and respect the man and know that it takes time for them to grow to that period. Anyway, my point is, obsession is not love, and it's something that you're doing to yourself, and it's not fair to you. You deserve so much better than that. You just really got to snap yourself out of it. It's so hard when you're in it because you've built up this idea in your head of who they are and what your relationship's like and how you feel when you're with them. And that feels great. Yeah, it's fun to fantasize, but it gets you in trouble in the long run, because when you're actually with this person, you'll get mad that they're not matching this false reality in your head. And then you're gonna scare them off, or you'll express that you're angry, or, oh, why aren't you doing this? And in their head, they're like, what? I don't even know you. Like, why are you expecting all this stuff from me? But in your mind, you've already gotten married, or not married, but like you've already created this whole relationship and you've gone on all these dates and all these things, and it's just not realistic. I've actually had this so much in my life where I used to think, oh, I don't have a type because it's always just like an energy thing. Like whoever I vibe with, that's who I like. And none of the like physical characteristics or personality traits ever lined up. And I realized as I've gotten older, yeah, I was in limerence. I didn't actually like these people. And of course, once I'm out of it, they always come back, as they always do. It's the golden rule. I saw somebody today who I was in limerence for and obsessed with for so long, and we would hang out, we would go on dates here and there, he would give me just enough to keep me hooked. But now it's like, I didn't even really like him. Like, sure, he's a nice guy and we're kind of like friends now, but it was such a random thing. And I think when you have deep-rooted issues, like when you're younger, you kind of just attach onto somebody, and instead of having to deal with who you are, you want their validation and them to tell you that you're good enough. But like, who gave them that power? Why are you doing that to yourself? Who gives them the credit? Do you even respect them as a person? Do you admire their morals, their values, what they stand for? Nobody should have that power to be able to give you validation or not. You're the only person who should be validating yourself, because you know what you believe in, you respect your thoughts and decisions, and only you can be the judge of that. Let's stop obsessing, and let's just really be kind to ourselves and not dig ourselves in a hole like that. I just can't believe, like, when I watch videos like this or read books about dating, so many times I'd be like, okay, well, we didn't even really get to the dating phase. We didn't even really get to the talking phase because I created this thing in my head and it's just not real. So I just don't know how there's not more videos on this. And I think the cure to this is more of a preventative action. If you're already in deep, I'm sorry, that sucks. You got to pull yourself out of it. And the only way you can really do that is just monitoring your thoughts. Don't let yourself fantasize. It's not real. It may feel fun and it may feel like a quick fix. That's why Heidi Pribe, the YouTuber, she was saying that most people that experience limerence, they are very prone to having some sort of addiction in their life, whether it's not just drugs and alcohol, but like food, sex, anything to cover whatever they're trying to mask. So you can use a person as an obsession to cover your true self, your true feelings, because that's like an escape. If you go into that fantasy world, it's like numbing the pain. Just like when people use drugs and alcohol, they're just numbing, so they don't have to be present with themselves and look at themselves. You can use people like that too. It sounds crazy, and it absolutely is, but sorry, I'm here to admit it. We've all experienced it. I, for so long, would be hard on myself and be like, hey, I know I'm incredible. I should be the girl that gets any guy that I want, and it just seems like the guy that I do want, that's who I don't get. I have all these other guys chasing me, but no, I don't like you. I'm gonna pick the one guy that doesn't like me and obsess over him and drive myself nuts. That's ridiculous and unfair, and I'm sure you can relate, because so many people in my life, I tend to be somebody that people feel comfortable opening up to. I don't have any judgment, and I'm very vulnerable and open myself, so I'm here to tell you, even if your friends aren't admitting it to you, we all experience this. Pretty much everybody I know has, in one form, even if it's just when they were younger, we've all experienced this. And it's just not healthy for our mental health, and it's not good for your confidence. And if you're constantly going back to that person for validation, it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Nothing's going to change. it's not what you think it is in your mind. So you just got to get out of that headspace and gain your power back. Like I said, when you're in it, it's really hard to detach from that, but it just starts with daily steps, self-care, stopping yourself every time you want to do that fantasy. It's going to be really hard at first, but the next time you remember to stop yourself, it'll get easier and easier with time, and then eventually you'll move on, and then watch, they'll probably come back running and chasing, because men have an ego and they want their ego fixed. So a lot of the times they'll use us to fix their ego. So when they know you're obsessed with them, they'll sense that maybe you've moved on, and they'll come back, oh wait, like I want to get that validation too. Everybody just seems to want validation, and it's ridiculous. Why can't we just validate ourselves? But you know, I get it because I'm a human and I do that too. But I'm definitely in a more healed place now where I value my own validation, and nobody else can determine my worth. I'm not giving anybody else that power. That's why I'm done with this. I haven't been truly obsessed or in limerence in years, probably. I mean, the last few years, maybe there's been like smaller forms of that. I think we all do that. We want to fantasize, and if you like somebody, you get excited, but just not letting yourself fall is really the main action of this, and knowing your worth and only allowing yourself to feel good and feel valued when it comes to dating. Being obsessed with somebody can truly take over your life. I remember being younger, before I did all my therapy and when I wasn't in the best place, I remember just like picking some random guy, liking them, deciding that they're the love of my life, and looking over old photos, old text messages over and over again, like chasing that high. It truly is an addiction, and when you're obsessed with somebody, you're not present at all. It's just something that you use to mask any pain that you may have, just so you don't have to be present in that moment, and you can keep reliving that high that you feel. Your mind is such a weird thing, and the things that we crave, all we want to do is feel good. And the weird part is, a lot of the things we do don't make us feel good, but somehow we're addicted to that. So really just rewiring your brain. And if you are, it doesn't matter, like age doesn't matter. Like obviously with time you get more wise and you don't allow yourself to fall into scenarios like this. But if you do find yourself still falling in holes like that, that is the number one sign that you're not ready to date anyways, because you're putting your happiness in the hands of somebody else. You wanting that person's validation tells me that you are not ready to date. And you really should just take that time to do some more soul searching, do some therapy, do some self-love work, and really get to know yourself better. You figure out why you're lovable. You get to know yourself better. The more you value yourself, the more you're going to only allow being treated good into your life. So it's really important to just make sure before anybody dates that you're in a healthy space and you're not depending on others for validation or for comfort or for them to make you feel loved. You should be able to love yourself and know how incredible you are, because you are amazing. It's so cheesy to say, oh, everyone's special, but they really are. If you just get to know yourself and thrive and focus on love, you're gonna get more of that in your life. One thing I wanna say about this, as far as like a big sister or a friend, is please just don't be hard on yourself. I know how painful it can be when you're truly obsessed and you think you're in love with somebody, but I promise you, you are gonna get over that person. And even though it feels so intense inside, it is no reflection of you or your worth whatsoever. This is just something that you created, and I really encourage you to read books, watch more videos like this, and understand that you're not alone, and we all experience stuff like this. If that person were to see you in a different light, or if you maybe were a little more standoffish, the roles probably would be reversed, because that's just human nature. And I know it probably sucks to hear that, because it's like, oh, well, if I only could have, maybe I can redeem myself. No, it's not worth it. It's always good to just have a fresh start. Be with your friends, do things that make you feel good so that you can get in the vibration of feeling good again. And just stop fantasizing. Stop allowing yourself to dream about this thing that never was anything. What I want you to do is write down a list of all of the things you like about them. I guarantee you, you probably can't give me that many real traits, but on the contrary, write a list of things that you don't like about them. And I want you to say things, even things that they do that don't make you feel good. For example, oh, they don't text me back, or they don't plan things, because realistically in a partner, you would want those things and they're not doing that. So this exercise really helps you be present and see what the reality is in front of you and juggle the two and be like, and even just picturing somebody else that you don't like, put them in the bubble and think about if they had those traits. Would you still like them? No, you absolutely wouldn't, because we all want to be treated well and that's what you deserve. And I want you to start doing self-care things that make you feel good, and don't let this person bring down your worth anymore. Nobody should have that power. You only control the destiny of your life. It's time to get your power back. There's just been so many times in my life where I look back and think, oh, that was just so much time wasted that I spent thinking this person was the love of my life, because once you get over it and look back, it's like, I didn't even really know them. I think I'm probably more of an extreme case. Like, I've definitely struggled with this probably more than the average person, because I had a lot of traumas and pains and things that I had to deal with, which now that I've done therapy and I've gotten to know myself better, I feel like I've conquered that, and I haven't gone down a rabbit hole like that in years, even longer. But I still am prone to doing little things like that, and it's just not fair, because why, even if you were to, this person that you obsess over and fantasize, even if you were to finally get him, it's not really fair to you or them, because you've created this false personality in your head of what they're like, and that's not really love. That's just you wanting to conquer something to prove that you're worthy enough. You just want to get them, and it's like, why? Then what happens when they're there? I remember with one of the big times in my life that I was limerent, I remember being with him and I remember thinking to myself like, I'm kind of bored already. And it's like, you almost want to go home and think about that fantasy version rather than actually being with them. Another thing I want to say about obsession is just not to be hard on yourself about it, and it absolutely doesn't define your character at all. I think it's human nature to want what you can't have. If you were to give the guys a chance that liked you and you didn't like them, why do we forget about all the guys that like us? I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm Sophia. You can find me on all my social medias at Sophia Pearson. We'll see you guys next Sunday on Self-Care Sundays with Sophia. Bye.